Today we will discuss the nitrogen cycle, which is one of the most important biogeochemical cycles in nature. Nitrogen is an essential element required by all living organisms because, as we know, it is a major component of proteins, amino acids, enzymes, chlorophyll, DNA, and RNA. And this is what you have already studied in your previous semesters in your biochemistry classes. And without nitrogen, growth and survival of organisms are impossible. Although the atmosphere contains nearly 78% nitrogen gas, most living organisms cannot use atmospheric nitrogen directly. Therefore, microorganisms play a very important role in converting nitrogen into usable forms and recycling it continuously in nature. And this movement and transformation of nitrogen through the atmosphere, soil, water, plants, animals, and microorganisms is called the nitrogen cycle. And this is a natural process through which nitrogen circulates between the atmosphere, soil, water, and living organisms in different chemical forms. And the major steps that's involved in the nitrogen cycle are basically nitrogen fixation, ammonification, nitrification, assimilation, and denitrification. And nitrogen fixation is one of the processes by which the atmospheric nitrogen is converted into ammonia or related nitrogen compounds that plant can use because they cannot use free nitrogen gas directly. This process is mainly carried out by nitrogen fixing microorganisms, some bacteria which live freely in the soil, while others live symbiotically inside the root nodules of leguminous plants. Some of the examples of nitrogen fixing microorganisms are like, for example, rhizobium and azotobacter and even clostridium and cyanobacteria such as Abina and nostoc are also there. And these microorganisms possess special enzymes which can help convert the atmospheric nitrogen into forms that is useful for plants. So nitrogen fixation naturally improves soil fertility and reduces dependence on the chemical fertilizers. And we know the harmful effects of the chemical fertilizers in the long run. So the microbes play a very important role here. And next step is ammonification. And ammonification is again the process in which decomposer microorganisms break down dead plants, dead animals, and organic waste into simple nitrogenous substances such as ammonia or ammonium. And this process is carried out by bacteria and fungi, which is already present in the soil. So, important decomposer microorganisms are like, for example, Proteus, Pseudomonas, even Bacillus, and there are also various fungi and actinomycetes. So, ammonification helps recycle nutrients back into the environment and maintain nutrient balance in the ecosystem. And the other process that is there is nitrification. Nitrification is again the process in which the ammonia is converted into nitrites and then into nitrates by specific soil bacteria. So this process occurs in well aerated soils and is very important because nitrates are the main form of nitrogen which can be absorbed by the plants. So the important nitrifying bacteria are Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter, and nitrification increases soil fertility and supports healthy plant growth. And the fourth step that is there is assimilation. And in this process, what happens is the plant can absorb nitrates or ammonium from the soil through their roots and use them to synthesize specific proteins or enzymes, chlorophyll, and even nucleic acids. So, animal obtain nitrogen indirectly by feeding on plants or plant eating animals. Thus, nitrogen enters the food chain and becomes part of living tissues. So, assimilation is essential for growth, metabolism, repair, and even reproduction in living organism. And the last step that is there is denitrification. And in that process, what happens is the nitrates which present in the soil are converted back into nitrogen gas by certain anaerobic bacteria. So, and this process usually occurs in waterlogged soils and oxygen deficient environments basically. And some of the important denitrifying bacteria that is there is Pseudomonas denitrificans, Thiobacillus denitrificans, and even some species of Bacillus that is there. And denitrification returns nitrogen to the atmosphere and completes the nitrogen cycle. So nitrogen cycle is very much important because it helps in maintaining life and environmental balance, as it helps in maintaining the fertility of the soil, and which supports plant growth and even crop productivity. And as I already told you, it helps in synthesis of the protein and DNA, and recycles nutrients in the ecosystem, and it even maintains the ecological balance, and it supports microbial activities in the soil. So nitrogen is often considered a limiting nutrient because plant growth depends heavily on its availability. And there are also many impact of humans in the on the nitrogen cycle. Like for example, human activities have greatly influenced the natural nitrogen cycle because of the excessive use of chemical fertilizers, and again industrial activities is there which contributes, and again the burning of the fossil fuels is there, and sewers and agricultural runoff, and environmental effects, and water pollution, eutrophication and algal blooms, solid acidification, and groundwater contamination. So, increase in greenhouse gases such as nitrous oxide, and therefore, sustainable agricultural practices and proper nutrient management are important for protecting the environment. So, in conclusion, the nitrogen cycle is an essential natural process that maintains the viability of nitrogen in ecosystems. Microorganisms are the very key driving force behind every stage of this cycle, as I have already discussed. And though nitrogen fixation involves uh, that is, I mean to say, a nitrogen cycle through nitrogen fixation, decomposition, nitrification, assimilation, and denitrification, nitrogen continuously circulates between living organisms and the environment. So, a proper understanding of the nitrogen cycle is important in microbiology, agriculture, environmental science, and ecology because it helps us understand soil fertility, ecosystem productivity, and environmental sustainability. Thank you very much.